Reconstruction quiz. Question 1. What event signaled the beginning of the end of the Civil War? The fall of Richmond, the Emancipation Proclamation, the passage of the 15th Amendment, the fall of Atlanta. What caused a massive amount of destruction in Richmond? Fires, flooding, bombs, hurricane. True or false? The destruction in Richmond was similar to other cities in the South following the Civil War. True. False. The surrender at Appomattox is considered the end of the Civil War, but is it the legal end of the war? No. Yes. Abraham Lincoln's plan for Reconstruction called for punishment and execution, keeping the South out of the government, reconciliation and preservation of the Union, reactions and punishments. Lincoln's 10% said that Southern states could rejoin the Union when 10% of the voting population swore an oath of allegiance to the United States, were imprisoned for their treason against the United States, to pay back damages to the United States government, an oath of allegiance to the Confederate government. Andrew Johnson and Congress disagreed on policies during Reconstruction. True or false? Robert E. Lee's legacy on Reconstruction was that he urged Southerners to keep fighting. He was executed. He urged Southerners to accept the end of the war and try for peace, or nobody listened to him. What was Frederick Douglass's primary objection to the Emancipation Proclamation? It did not grant ex-slaves the right to vote. It did not free slaves. It did not grant women the right to vote. He did not write it. During Reconstruction, who was the primary advocate for the full rights of African Americans? Robert E. Lee, Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, Frederick Douglass. This act declared that all persons born in the United States were U.S. citizens and had certain unalienable rights, including the right to make contracts, own property, sue in court, and enjoy equal protection of federal law. The Civil Rights Act of 1866, the 13th Amendment, the Jim Crow Act of 1865, the Civil Rights Act of 1960. What was the purpose of the 13th Amendment? Abolish slavery, grant the right to vote to all citizens, grant citizenship to all persons born in the United States or naturalized, extend equal protection under the law. Long answer. Why did the 13th Amendment pass so easily? What made Republicans think that more constitutional amendments and protections were needed? President Johnson supported the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Congress was opposed to more constitutional amendments. The Southern states continued to wage war. President Johnson vetoed the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Who is credited with creating the 14th Amendment? Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Thaddeus Stevens, Steve Buchanan. Long answer. How did Congress ensure the passage of the 14th Amendment? What did the 14th Amendment do? Abolished slavery, granted the right to vote, granted the right to vote to all citizens, granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the U.S., and granted them equal protection under the law. What led to the passage of the 15th Amendment? Violence at the polls directed at African Americans, violence at the polls directed at white Southerners, Andrew Johnson's opposition to the 14th Amendment, Congress's unwillingness to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1866. The 15th Amendment stated what? The right to vote cannot be infringed upon on the basis of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. All persons born in the United States were granted equal protection under the laws. Slavery was abolished in the United States and its territories, which was not a policy of Reconstruction. Southern military officers could not hold office. African Americans could hold office. Women were given the right to vote. African Americans gained civil rights with the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1866. What was the Freedmen's Bureau? Long answer. Black codes were the predecessors of what laws? Jim Crow laws, James Chase laws, civil rights laws, abolition laws. What event led to waning support for Reconstruction? The Panic of 1873, the election of 1865, the Civil War, the Colfax Massacre. Who won the election of 1876? Rutherford B. Hayes, Samuel J. Tilden, Ulysses S. Grant, Abraham Lincoln. What was the result of the Compromise of 1877? Federal troops were removed from the South. More troops were sent to the South. Grant was elected president. What Supreme Court created the legal idea of separate but equal? Plessy v. Ferguson, Puntland v. Blackwater, Brown v. Board of Education, Cherokee Nation v. Georgia.